We are back with yet another session of Product Like It's Friday, even though it's Tuesday. And I believe this is the third day in a row. One of the things I think I'm a little bit concerned about right now is losing momentum while I have a certain amount of energy to give and while thoughts are fresh in my mind. So if I delay working on this for too long, I feel like I'll lose some of that momentum. And I don't want to lose it. So I'm back. Let me get into the screen. And where we left off the other day, yesterday, was we have our game essential um, turn loop, sort of round loop, and uh, turn loop and round loop working in the game. The code is not, let's say, in its best shape, but right now I'm just rushing towards functionality and not caring too much about deeper things like architecture and all of that. So the game loop is done, or the round loop, and the game loop is done. The work that would be next is being able to end the game and seeing some kind of a leaderboard to see who uh, won or who's remaining, and maybe even some of like who were the fastest people and things like that. And we could get into deeper things. Mary, in her ideation process, had things like a combined score based on speed and correctness. We can get into that once we start collecting that data. Right now, we are not collecting any information about who is in the game itself. And therefore, right when we start the game, we want to perhaps collect a list of names that will participate in the game. And that's what I'll try and start off with. And once we have this list of names, we can display the right name, the correct name here, and we can display who's next up over here, and then we can do the leaderboard. So that's sort of the next step that I'll get into. All right, code-wise, I see more errors here, and I think I guess I should ideally look at this. Let me just quickly see where it's coming from. I actually don't think this is relevant. It's coming from an endpoint that really isn't referenced in the game as yet, but it might become relevant later. So I won't look at this now, but the last time we were here, I was annoyed by TRPC not giving me quite what I expected um, in terms of typing on some of the front end pages. So let me try and find an example that was annoying me. Here's one, which is I'm getting my turn from TRPC from the back end using use query. And it should give me, so the get turn, let me find the get turn procedure. It ends up using Sequelize to get a turn, find the appropriate turn, and returns it. And here I would have expected that the type would be turn, because the type is turn here. And whatever I return, I would expect that type to match back end and front end. Instead, I get object. And because object is, effectively just this in essence, it doesn't have any properties that can be properly typed. So I'm not properly typed in my back end and front end. Right after the stream yesterday, I spent about a minute trying to see what I could do to fix that, and because it kept annoying me and I kept referencing it as we went. Here it is again. This should just work. Although here, yeah, I guess both those things. I need to double check whether that might just be, yeah, this is a ref. So answer shape should be on that, and then turn number, I believe, is a different error. Well, I guess not. So maybe this is not supposed to have value at all. I'm not even sure at this stage because I'm not sure exactly what the right reference is. I guess this is ref object, so it's not object. Anyway, all that to say that there's some type problem, and it's happening because I'm returning turn, which is a model, a sequelized model, essentially. And here's some of the things I tried, just to see whether the type would correct itself. And came back here to see, okay, now I see turn within here, and it's still object and null. So it's not the type that I wanted. Why I did this, I don't know. I'm just trying things. And then I tried this. Let's make it a JSON. Maybe I can try, yeah. And here, now it shows up as any. I'm like, okay, well, we're making some progress, not quite what I thought it would be. And when I look at the type here, I'm looking at sort of infer creation attributes turn. It's the model, infer turn to JSON. Okay, what happens if I store it in a variable? And then I'm able to do maybe something like return result. If I look at result now, it is infer attributes turn very clearly, right? So it's inferring the attributes from the turn model. And once I go back here, oh, wow, voila. Here it is, our typed model, both in the back end and the front end. So this was a bit annoying, though. It's like, why did it not work when I simply put it in the return? I'm actually not sure why that doesn't work, but we know that it doesn't. So, so here value is correct, I believe. Is it not? Okay, that's fine. So the problem is that this might be, so I can just go or pending here. And so the problem is this is a string, and I have typed this as being very specific. And maybe I can just do sort of type answer state for now. And this can be answer state. And I can then do something like as answer state for now. And maybe I can, have this being represented in the backend as well. I know it's kind of cheating, but at least it gets me to the next step. And this now, I believe, should be value. Oh no, turn is coming through mutate. That makes sense. Okay, sorry, I lost track here. I thought it was still coming from here. So this needs to be fixed separately. Okay, so at least I know this works. And now my answer state is correct and is being represented as a string, and turn is properly this object. It's not the turn object from the model exactly, but at least it's working better. And then the other thing that I tried was there's a dot get plain true. And here, this also works as you would expect. And this is actually turning this model reference into a plain JavaScript object. And now I don't have to have a temporary variable to store in order to get the type correct. And this seems like a good, price to pay, as it were, in order to be able to accomplish typing on the front end and back end. So let me go ahead and just review here and change the types where necessary. So instead of returning game here, I'm returning that. And then let me just look at all the returns here. Instead of returning turn, I'm returning turn.get. Same thing here again. And that's it. And now when I come back here, I expect fewer issues anyway. So this is still an issue I need to fix. Okay, yeah, let me see if I can type this as answer state somewhere. Or I can just hack it for now and then correct it later. But at the very least, number here is now functional and works properly. And let me just get this type correct here. And okay. What else do I have? I think that's a good starting point to just quickly review this. So just adding answer straight here, and then here I am modifying the returns to reference get. For backend on with trpc. And that's just because of the model that I'm returning was not a plain JavaScript object. Turn is a detailed object that wouldn't just work, but otherwise now I have it functional. All right, so I want to now get a list of students, and Mary has some kind of a modal. Clicking on Start Game opens the modal. I might just hack this a little bit just to make it simpler for me to use fewer components just to go, and then extract some of that into a modal. Not a big deal either way, but it's still helpful. And I'll load up Next UI here, just so the components are visible and available to me, so I can scroll through and see, hey, what can I use? While I'm here, I might as well just take a look at the modal component. I mean, it should be fairly straightforward to use, so I'm not necessarily concerned about that. But just to get my flow going, I might just build this text box right into here. Okay. Okay, let's see what I can, maybe I have an idea in my mind, and I'll just code it out without maybe speaking too much about it, and then we can see how it goes. Okay, determine the order. And here, instead of saying determine the order, I might say, please enter a list of players. Please enter the names of the players in order to start a game. Start the game, please enter a list of players. And a list of rounds, that's interesting. And once I click, well, there's no create game yet. What I actually want is some kind of a text box. So it's text area. Let's throw that in a div. No, I want to close the div here, and player names. And let's go ahead and add that reference. No, this is not going to be an array. It's just actually going to be a string straight up. And just for my visual reference, I will have the string being displayed here, like so. And let's see how that works. Maybe there's an error with the server because I am seeing this loading thing and I don't see any changes that I made pop up here, which I would have expected. Yeah, there is. Okay, server starting up. There we go. And then I just want to maybe style this so that it's better, but okay, we got a list of names. Let me see what I can do here in terms of adding rows. Let's make this 10 by default. Rows equals 10. Can I do calls 50? Okay, well, let's see if all of that worked. Yeah, I mean, that looks much nicer. in order to start the game, please enter a list. And then this can become maybe a submit players button, and I can take it from there. So I'll just enter Mary, Adnan, la la la. When I click, so I won't display this. This is just for my purposes, but when I click, I can process this into a list, and then okay. Let's see. So this here. Let me just for now copy paste this, and then comment this out and say submit players. Submit players here. Okay. Submit players function, and then I'll just accept what it's giving me and review it. Maybe just place this up top. And that removes some of the errors that were happening here. That's good. And then I got split the players' names. That is what I want. Trim, length. That's actually pretty good. That's exactly what I want. So this should be a string array. And then we create the game with the list of players. Yeah, I like that. I like that, but I'm just going to hold off on this because I think what I want here is player list, which is a string list. I'm just trying to think. And here, I mean, I know I usually try and keep it to a minimum, but I'm trying to think, maybe this would be a nice place to have a list, that random list of adjectives and potentially a random list of icons that we assign to each player. And again, generally, I do want to keep it to a minimum, but I also feel like I've been saying no and pushing back a lot. And it makes me feel weird every time I do it because I feel like I'm taking the wind away from sort of someone who excitedly has ideas. In this case, Mary. But maybe I can, think a little bit ahead than maybe I would have otherwise done, and have a player type that will have, maybe not an ID score yet, but maybe it will later. But definitely a name, and then an icon, and an adjective. Not adjectives, but an adjective. And we'll leave this for later. And now I can generate that list of players. I won't necessarily, I'll still just work with the name for now, but I'm just adding in some space to expand a bit later. And here I have a list of players, and here map the players to the player type. I mean, I'm curious what this will give me. Yeah, I mean, this is along the lines of what I want. I mean, this is a nice guess. We can have just a fixed adjective for now. And then it doesn't like it because, yeah, so let me adjust that to say, hey, I don't need these things. And then have a list of submitted players. And maybe now in my I can have a player list that gets populated once submitted and is just empty. Hello, and I submit. And there we go. Right, and part of my intention here is also to maybe change the screen here to, like, once I have this list, change the screen here to say, hey, review these names and start the game. So I can probably have I'll just use template here. If players, I do want something like this. Oh, whoops. Yeah, players list dot length is equal to 0. Yeah, I can go ahead and accept that and end the template here just so I can get my bearings first. Remove that, get this whole bit into here. What did I just do? There we go. Get that whole bit into here. And then I can have an else here that, and I just accepted what it gave me. So let's see. Yeah, precisely something like this, but not precisely, but almost something like this. And we'll take that and we'll go back to please review the players before starting the game. And this will give me the list of players. And now I can kind of bring this back and get that here. And now I can just enter one name for now. Players. Okay, this is in brackets. It's just the awesome but none. Let's fix that. And get rid of that. Yeah, I wonder why that happens. But here's the list. And I can now start the game. And now this should submit the players, and then the players should get created on the back end. One thing I also wouldn't mind, since I am now going extra anyway, is to make the review a bit real and be either able to go back or to be able to X. I think just going back would be easier. In which case, all I would need to do is, yeah, so I can have maybe like an edit list button. I'm going to keep referencing the next UI pages again. I keep forgetting because I am not as familiar. What's soft here? Subtle. Ghost. I can try soft. Sure, why not? And we'll come down here and add a soft button. And I don't want flex call. I want sure, justify center. Gap 4, sure. And here I do have to go through a couple of steps before I have a button. It says edit players. Whoops. Submit, edit players does nothing. And now I can just do that where I empty out that list. I don't think, since I'm in the view component, I don't need the value. Edit players, I'm back here, I'm editing, submit. This is just in case you made a mistake. I could probably style this better, but maybe I'll just wait for Mary to adjust this. I'm not sure we need the modal anymore here, but at least it's functional. And if it needs to be sort of a different flow, we can do that. But I'm fairly content with this for now. And I think what would help is if this was an ordered list and not just a regular list, and that should give me, that does not give me. My expectation was that I would see numbers here because this is an ordered list, but maybe the styles is none. That makes sense. So Tailwind ordered list. This list decimal. List disk Is it list decimal? Okay. I don't know what list inside does, but let's just see. Okay, that is what I want. Let's edit the list and add Mary. Great, and everybody's awesome. We'll have a person named Awesome soon enough. And now I have a list of players there. And this will, it just gives me an idea of how many players I have. Totally makes sense. All right. So now when I submit, I don't simply want to start a list, just the game. I also want to submit the list of players and their adjectives and their icons when we eventually get there. And I want that to be submitted here. So I'll say players. I wonder why I can't just do player list.value and submit the entire array versus mapping it out again. So let me just go this far and see whether this becomes a problem later on. I would have expected mutate to give me an error since create game does not have, oh, it just, no, that's fine. It didn't give me an error because it just takes an empty object. But I in fact want an object with players. And this is not, so this will be a Z array, but here it'll be another object with a name. This is good. An icon, and this should be optional, and an adjective, which is also optional. And for some reason, AI thinks that, oh, it's adjustment. Adjective, just one. And now I have this typed, and let's see back here whether that is honored or not. So if I were to change name to this, I get an error here as I would expect since they do not match. Amazing. Now we're like really kicking with the advantage of having JavaScript both on the back end and the front end and having everything typed together. All right. All right, so I have a list of players coming in now. It is an array. And just for test purposes right now, I'm just going to do a console.log here. Yeah, I'm just going to do, does it know that I want the ops? Yes, it does. And we'll see whether that is working here when I click start game. Amazing. Okay, great. Here, the additional thing I'm going to do is remove my pre, that since this is no longer necessary. And let's start storing the players in the database. I have a few options now. I can either store the players as a separate table with their own properties and everything, or I can store it just in the game object as like as a JSON field. And I'm not 100% sure what I want to do. My heart says the easier thing will be to just store it in the as a JSON field. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, but maybe And I don't necessarily want to leverage kind of the has many relationships just yet, again, only because I'm not as intimately familiar with them. So what I'll do is I will probably create another model here and yeah, create players separately, right? And all that needs to be is, no, player.bulk create. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see what it's trying to do here. Yeah, I want to pass it a game ID. That makes sense. Name, icon or null, adjective or null. That's fine. And then maybe this can be index, and I can have just a number as well. And from here, I could probably just maybe go in reverse this time, create my player model in the code, and then create the migration for it. And here I just ended up creating another table because, I don't know, just because. So let's go to game.ts and get player in here. And let's replace game with player. And so I have ID, I have game ID, I have number. Let's see if it picks up the rest. I have a name. Oh, picked up icon. Wow. And adjective. Amazing. And picked up that they were optional to create. Yeah, one of the things I kind of wanted to play around with since I'm here. See what happens if I make myself a circle in the corner, and whether I don't know. Let's see how that will just feel in our hearts. Just because I can. All right, let's fix these. I can just get rid of all of that, and let's see if this, okay, that's fine. That's good. Thank you. And now allow null is true, and allow null is true here. Yeah, I think that's all for this part. And here I can include this, and all this here is kind of copacetic. Let me remove this console.log, and now I can move to the next step, which is creating the migration. And right, create players. And I won't forget to modify this to CGS so that it works once we eventually get there. And then, yeah, I mean, I guess I could just stay here and hope that the AI fills in for me where I am lacking. I'm actually just kind of giving the AI a second to catch up here, but it seems like it doesn't want to. So I'll end up just copying that and doing that. Oh, I think I just copied some of the wrong bits there. I think now it kind of wanted to start kicking in here with ID. Let's let it run. Yes. And then will it pick up? So I do want it to pick up game ID for me. And I don't want to reference just yet, maybe sometime later as I become more familiar. And I'm just avoiding it right now because, I do it, I get committed to it, and then if it causes any issues, now I'm stuck solving those issues. And that's not, like, I really want to focus on functionality right now rather than the adjacent issues that arise. So, all right, game ID, name, icon, and adjective. And let's fill this out as well. Thank you. And I think I'm ready to migrate on. And here's where, oops, I did not mean to do that. Oops, did not mean to do that either. And here, I think I have it on somewhere. Yep. Let's just get rid of that. And See, these errors I don't mind. All right. And partially, one of the reasons that kind of happened was because I'm splitting screen on a 1080p adjusted screen. Typically, I'd have a much larger monitor I'd be working with and a lot more text real estate. I do love splitting screens, and I know that it gets a bit confusing on a stream where there's limited space, but here we are. All right, so now I expect this to create the players in the game, and then I can start displaying the players based on the turn. And the turn number should be the number of the player. And I just realized I did not put number here. So number. And since we're just doing this once, the turn number won't always reference the player number because in future rounds you'll have fewer. So it's just the next player and whether the player's still in the game or not. So I will need some kind of state as well, I believe, which I'm okay to do now. I mean, the question is, what is it, like a Boolean, like in-game or not? Is it some kind of a state? So just quickly thinking around it, a student will still be in the game or out of it. They're active or not. So should I make this a state or a Boolean? Because I can, you know, it's not a huge deal either way. I'm leaning towards state, but I'm trying to think whether it's necessary. Like, will there be another player state here? Yeah, active, you know, disqualified, lost, or what have you. That's fine. Let's just go with state for now. Prep myself for any potential issues in the futures. State. And also add a state here. Okay. Any other player information that I will need? I mean, I'll add others later, but I think the state thing I can kind of immediately act upon. So I got players in there, and now I can just get them, filter for the active players, and then display. Yeah, I don't think this was too early. The only thing is, sequelize CLI. Let me just see what a rollback looks like. I could just wipe out my database again as I did last time, but at least I can learn what the rollback command might be. Migrations. I'm not seeing a rollback CLI. Let's see db migrate. So this does reference, undo. So db migrate undo will undo it. That should just work. And then let's do a redo. And now that should have our adjusted column. Now I can go back. So number I'm already doing, name, icon, adjective. I could probably just go back and add in the state as well. This probably doesn't like that the state is missing, so state active. And then yeah, state active. Let's think. Yeah, I mean, the next thing for me here would be to have sort of the first player's name up here and then the next player's name on the other side. Current player, yeah, I mean, let's have an essence of what the current player is and work with that, current player, next player. And it's not too much, I think, at this state to just get all the players and work with them. And ideally, when we're creating the game, we're creating the players. Ideally, when you get the game, you should just get the players. I don't think that needs to be an extra call, especially for something as simple as this. So, and here I suppose it may have been useful for me to play around with the has many relations and see what it does. I'll take a quick look at it, but I feel like ultimately it might just end up hindering me more than it will helping me. But I guess I could just search here. And the way that works is sudo hasmit. So I'd have game.players equals game.hasmanyPlayer. And in the create, I can do this. So this is the has many addresses situation, where a product is related to a user, so belongs to a user. And the include here, I assume, includes that. I don't see it. There we go. Sorry, I missed it. So the addresses are being created here. And then once this is returned, okay, I mean, this seems straightforward enough. And hopefully it'll work on the first run. So I will try it on the first run so I can have a cohesive creation process. And then I think this example works very well, although it is one level nested, but it's exactly pretty much what I want. Okay, so let's play with the has many association between player and game. So I'll want to do something like, and here they do it after the init. I wonder whether that the ordering makes a difference, but I'll just follow along. Game dot players is equal to game dot has many player. What do you want here? Yeah, I mean, I'll go with it. Maybe they'll create an error and I'll learn something. That's fine. It doesn't like game dot players. Players does not exist on type of game, so that makes sense. So here I'd have to have some accommodation for players. It did not agree. No, because it's not on the instance of the object, it's on the prototype. So I wonder whether there's some TypeScript accommodation here. So let's say has many. And I mean, okay, so this seems a little bit more involved than otherwise. And this is kind of the rabbit holes that ideally I would have avoided getting into, but I think, let's play. Let's play. So we have user, and a user has many projects. So I have to do all of that. okay, declare projects. And then down here, user has many projects, source key, foreign key. So source key, that came up, ID, foreign key is game ID, correct. And then as projects, players, correct. And it doesn't seem like here we're doing the business of game.players. We're just doing it straight up. So that's fine. Just trying to see what the usages. User.associations.projects. Is that available to me immediately just by doing this? So game.associations.players. Is that available? It does seem to be. Can I just say this? And that seems to be too. That's not real. This is accepting anything. So maybe they're not connected. Maybe like this just happens not to be typed that strongly. User has many project as project, and then when we're creating, I'm not seeing sort of this. I'm not seeing something similar where it's like, oh, here's an array of players. But let's see. Let's commit. Let's commit, not waffle here. Let's commit to adding this. Oh, wow. So I got to add all of these. I mean, I probably don't have to add all of them, I assume. But let's go again. Let's commit. Let's go. Just convert all the projects to player where it makes sense. Okay, and this is not owner ID. This is game ID. And now I can just sort of update all missing imports, please. Well, you look at that. Look at that line. Thank you, TypeScript. And then, oh, I missed a project. And I missed a project again. And let's see if there's any more projects. There are not. Let's leave the comments here. Why not? For now. Okay. Will this give me enough to create my players and retrieve them with the include business? Okay. Let us test this out. Create, and there's another. I think in the other example that I saw something like this. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's just, it gets pretty intense here. See, there's string or projection alias, and a projection alias is all of these things, which I don't understand. So, literal function Do I just trust the AI at this stage, or do I look for type-scripted examples? Is the question. But in lieu of that, we'll come out here. We'll get rid of this. From here, we will add players. Oops, we'll add players here and paste. And something is not being appreciated. Let's see. Right, I don't need this. That was that problem. And players does not exist in type optional. Players does not exist. But I mean, certainly I do have players here, but it's marked as a non-attribute. This is optional. So this is only populated explicitly when requested in the code. But how do I get it to create? Let me quickly see if there's any obvious examples that I missed. In the docs, it doesn't seem like that's the case. So let's go SQLize TypeScript create with has many. Okay, I guess AI will. Oh wow, I did not know that Google AI did that. Can I talk to it? Can I follow up? Does not seem like it. So what it has done is it's given me the instructions from SQLize TypeScript, which is a precise library. What if I maybe just give it a hint here? Not SQLize TypeScript. Will it know in its heart to do the right thing? Let's see here. So it's done the has many reference, and it's given me a much more simplified version. So that needs to be, and maybe that was in the docs for the non-TypeScript version and I just missed it. Model child as children. So that is correct here. No, but because, I mean, this is as p players lowercase, I assume, because this is the case. So let's just find children up here. And this is not without this non-attribute business, right? So that's what's missing here. And maybe that's what I need to remove here. And that will accept it. No, it doesn't quite like it, but I'm getting a different error this time. And it says, is missing the following properties and 30 more. Well, that's not helpful. Number, name, icon, adjective, null is not assignable. So declare parent ID foreign key. So I probably need to declare game ID as a foreign key on player. This is it. This was gonna happen. This is destiny, like for me to. But then, you know, I guess that's the trap between learning and not learning. So I have to do game ID. And let's import game here. And let's import foreign key here. And no. Well, ID and, you know, ID and game ID created at, all of these are optional, and 30 more. All of those are optional. So let's say declare children question mark child. declare players, question mark, player array. Seems legit. I have this. I don't think I need a. So I did the game ID, right? Foreign key game ID. And then I suppose I could with it declare game here. And then oh, maybe I need to, yeah, it's just maybe poor reading on my part, which is I didn't do this, right? I didn't do belongs to. And maybe that's the reason. So let's adjust for that. And it's sort of guiding me here. So let me just accept its guidance and see where it nets me out. Game cannot be used as a value because it was imported using import type. So let's just fix that. And then the question is, because I have this here, do I need game ID here? And my assumption is no. I've done all this and this still hasn't gone away. So, I mean, you know, like this is me just rumbling now and mildly frustrated in myself for having gone down this path. Parent, create, name, children, include. I mean, this seems like exactly what I want though, so. Just that TypeScript is happy, and I'm probably missing something fairly simple. Integer allow null, false. Parent ID. So I do need the parent ID definition there still, right? I mean, that was a miss on my part. Whoops. Yeah. Although that again does not help correct this here. Let me just restart my LSP and see if that error remains. It does. Type number, name, icon, adjective is not assignable to number, name, icon, string null, adjective string null, state string, array. Ah. This is, it seems like it was a reading comprehension issue on my part. So this is what I'm hoping the issue is not assignable to type player array. No, I mean, it seems like I was hoping that I was passing in an object here where an array was expected, but it seems like map does pass in an array. So that ought to not be the case. And just to clarify, I can say build players, and I can just copy that a little bit up here and right. And then I can get rid of that, have my built players here, and we can double check the type. This is just for my sanity purposes, right? This is a build players array. In this manner, the other thing I can do perhaps is maybe I can say infer creation attributes. Maybe I can type this, and maybe this will give me a clearer hint. And here I come in. This is a little bit clearer. So it doesn't say and 30 odd issues. It says is missing the following properties from type ID, game ID, created at, and updated at. And I am confused because I would have thought that these were properly typed here, and they are, right? I should not need for creation attributes, as I have inferred them here, these properties. And it says here is missing the following properties from type this, and that's ID, game ID, created at, and updated at. Can I do this? Seems like the wrong thing. But it did assist here. But I'm not seeing that. Oh no, I'm seeing that here, but I don't see that here. So I shouldn't have to do that. No. And it still doesn't like this. It's like, hey, you're not who I believe you are. That's a lot of time. For something like this. I'm gonna give it a once over because I do want to get this right. But obviously, if I'm just, if I'm just kind of rumbling around, I'm gonna go non-relational in the code. Create children name. The way that I probably would have gone about doing this is, maybe creating some dummy models and trying it out with that. I also don't know even if this code is correct, right? Let's see if that has many. Let's see if other people have. This is again, oh no, this is, yeah, this is the equalized TypeScript. It's not what I want. And here, this is also, this is sequelize version 7, which is not what I'm using, and that's a whole other can of worms. And it's curious, the example here didn't give us the create flow, right? Like it did this. Oh, okay, so it's doing this. New user dot. And then it finds the user. Is it trying to tell us that what I want to do up there is not even possible? Add projects, create project. The reason this seems weird is the reason it seems weird is because I also want something like maybe declare create players. And I wonder, like, has many create association mix in. So it doesn't seem like the AI here has given me any indication on. I'm a bit disappointed that this is the path that I have to take. But let's recommit to what I see here. I mean, the whole reason I went down this path is so that I can avoid looping through and creating or whatever. I would have just wanted to pass it here, make it simple. And not have to refetch and things like that. But here we are. And here we go. All that for what? All that for what? And if this does not work after that, I'm just going to be very upset. Okay. So we can get rid of this. We get something like new game, like what they said. This might still come in handy, and maybe I don't want to have done all of this because, I mean, that did not seem like a problem before, right? It doesn't like this, and that's fine. We'll remove this in a bit. So now I have this new game, and I want to do something like this, but not build players. I want, right? I want to go through the players from the beginning, and I want to just do a create player. Property number is missing. Good, thank you. Number I can provide you. I can probably do that. And that should give me the number. And that seems to have been accepted. So here, like I said, we're going to get rid of this. Let me just double check number, name, icon, adjective, and state. Thank you. And I'm sorry, what? I think I did something really unpleasant. I can get rid of this. Yeah, I did. I did do something unpleasant and silly. I just, again, I trusted. Yeah, I'm a little bit sooner than I should have. I was not aware of this. I was still doing object entries like a loser. And here now I will have to get game back again with my players, hopefully. Okay, let's fix that. I want to do find by PK just because, I mean, these are probably the same, but let me just, commit to this. And here, game is possibly null. I'm just gonna do this for now, and we'll take care of the null clauses much later. So at least now I have code that doesn't give me a type error, right? But does it work? Will it blend? Is the question. So let's find out. The answer is no. It shall not blend. I might need to restart, but there might be a separate error as well. So we'll dig in. There is a separate error, and it's not immediate to me what that is. Because this error message is not helpful. Okay, this error message is helpful. Cannot access game before initialization. And it means that somewhere I have done that. I did not have any diagnostics here, no diagnostics here. And this error, unfortunately, doesn't tell me where that error is. So could it be just an internal Nuxt issue, or is it something in my code? I would have thought that if it was in my code, that it would be related to a file that it would give me and say, here's the problem in your code. But maybe let's trace it from the top. We're on this game page. Game ID. So we're on some turn page, it seems. I mean, maybe we're not even supposed to be here for now. Like, will this do? So, okay, that's better. I mean, it's still the same error, but I'm in game index, and here maybe game might be null or undefined. And I need to take care of that case. And so we'll keep it simple for now. We won't presume. But I don't think that was the issue. It didn't seem like that was the case. Let me restart again, though that should not help at all, I know. And let's see. It seems like it's on. Run main, dev index MJS. Should I be even looking at this file? I don't want to. So it is the compiled version. And this is pure JavaScript. And it's saying, hey, you have an imported game and you're trying to use it. What are you doing? It says. And so the error would be in player with this game over here, and that is being imported here. So what's the deal, bro? What if I didn't do this? I mean, is this necessary? Maybe, maybe not. So a few things. Everything was correct, it seems, in the TypeScript, but the compiled version had an issue for some reason. Let me just take a look at that error one more time. Cannot access game before initialization. I mean, it might be the case where does before initialization mean this init is like a code thing? So everything needs to be initted first, and maybe just based on, because I'm importing game and player and game, right? Here I have player, that, and have this. So maybe this association even should be done here. Because in all the examples, they were all in just one file. And let's see if this works. And it does. Okay, so that's just a gotcha if I guessed using SQLize. Good to know. All right. Where we were like an hour ago, Now the deal is when I start the game, will it create these in the database? That's one issue. And then B, am I getting them back to display on the next page? So that seems to have given me an error. Although here, it seemed like we at least did insert one thing, because I clicked on it and TRPC has given us a validation error. And do we know what it is? Like if I click on this again, for example, will it Yeah. Okay. It says, hey, it's a database error. Path create game. But when I look back here, I'm not seeing an error here. So let's trace this. Yeah, I mean, I deserve it because I was opening a can of worms with trying to use has many and all that business. I could probably just get away with putting in a bunch of console.logs. And seeing where we net out. I can actually just get rid of that. Okay. Start game, getting the error. All right, let's trace. Creating game with, and now it's created the game with this is the insert. And then here it creates the first player. And then nothing. Right? It's just creating player. Even the creating player business does not. Yeah, even the creating player business is not. So we got new game, created game, creating player, executing default, inserting two players. Okay. I'm actually not as familiar with this, but I'm not sure whether this is necessary in this scenario. Let me try it out, and I will have learned something. And I learned that I absolutely don't know what it does. So it seems like I'm doing one insert of the first player, and either there's some kind of an error because the loop does not progress. I mean, that much we know. I'm like, is it this entries function that's messing things up? But it doesn't seem like it because we are creating player. Oh, wait, new game, create player. New game, create player. Player game ID. Can I just give it to you anyway? What if I didn't care about this? What if I just said player? I know it's not supposed to be this way. I know. But listen, I'm trying. Let's get rid of that because I have used that before, and I feel like I knew what it was for and what it did and what situation it was useful in, but I do not know anymore. So no, that is not it either. It does seem to be, so there's ID null, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It does seem to be passing in and then current. So the sequel looks correct enough. Maybe I can do this. And here I can have my game. Oops. Okay, so I got my game here. And then I can have players and make them up. And that seems good to me. And then let's see if it figures out what to do. Yeah, that seems correct. And that's all the insert would have to do. And then the find would be const. Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. Maybe I can return the game itself. And then here, get an ID and find by PKID and include player here. And then return. All right. And let's see how this pans out. And this is where I added those tasks and things way back when. And this seems to have inserted 2 players correctly. And when I do the find, maybe I didn't return anything. I did. Look at that. I didn't have an ID. I did not pass in an ID. That makes sense. That's my fault. The ID here is 8. So let me pass that in. Okay, so now this is working pretty much like what we would have wanted. But it seems like there was some kind of error, and the code is eating that error up. Like it's not, I'm not seeing the error in the back end here. And so what's different? Maybe these nulls. Start game. It was the nulls. Okay. It's just me taking a second to be sad. But okay, let's go. So we got that. I can just remove my console.logs here. I wish that it gave me an error. Should I be a better programmer from the get-go? Sure. Yes, I can agree. No problem. Should the library or the confluence of libraries here show me an error that's relevant so I can find it sooner? Also, yes. Okay, so presumably I have game number 9, and game number 9 is returning the list of players. And on this screen, this is the round start screen. I have to find the first active player available, and I need to display their name. So this is the round screen, and I have Quasi-Quala here. When I'm starting the round, note that I'm getting the turn here. sorry, I'm creating the turn here, but I'm not really getting game information up here. So let's do that. Let's get the game. And I don't have a get turn, which I can use to kind of mimic what I want here. So I'm going to say const data game. And the game ID is just ID. That's good. And game doesn't exist. All I believe I need is just this. And then here I can come in and come down here. I can do a get game here. Get game. And I'm passing in. I guess I'll just make this ID. I guess technically this doesn't have to be an object, and I could have just done z dot, number, for example, but here we are. And I can just almost get rid of the whole thing here and say, yeah, get me M key, include my players, please. Throw an error if you don't find it, and return the game. Thank you. And here now I have the game. It still doesn't like something here. What did I do? Oh no, it's fine. It was just lagging. The type check was lagging. And here I will have had the game data, or it will be null, right? Yeah, it's got an all or null kind of situation here. So I can maybe say something like, there's no return. So I don't know exactly what to do in this scenario, but I can have just quickly thinking out here, I can have something like const players is equal to sure a ref, but maybe just give me sorry, no, that's not what I wanted. I wanted this. Thank you. And here that'll do for now. I'll get a state in here. And then I'll get a number here as well. And maybe just populate here. We don't want this. We actually just want this straight up. It doesn't like it. Maybe because players is not defined because of the, No problem. Not gonna worry. I'm even just gonna accept this. I'm not gonna clean up right now because I'm like, I spent a lot of time in that whole has many business when I could have just created the player separately, retrieve them, return a different object, and just, call it a day. But since I decided to go down that rabbit hole, which only, solidifies my general no saying process, let's not do that. Let's not try that. Because the cost of like even a simple idea turns into a wrestling match in the code sometimes. And part of that is because I'm not, again, familiar with these libraries. But these kind of errors do happen even when you're familiar. So, no comments. Okay, so I'm setting some kind of players, and I can have a current player, which should be a computed property. which is the first active player. And here's just returning player name. I don't want to do that. I just want to return the player. Right? Find the player, return the player. And maybe where it says close equal here, I can now say current player.name with the caveat that maybe there's no player. Well, and we'll get to that later, right? There it is. And we can choose to maybe display the adjective here. Yep, there you go. And we'll pop in an icon there at some point. This is the first player. I'm an hour and a half in. Let me start the round and let's address this. This will be the turn or the question. And I might, for now, I'm just going to copy paste and we'll worry about cleaning the code later. So we'll do this exact same business here. And this whole thing can probably be a composable of some sort somewhere later. Let me get the turn, let me get the game, let me get the players. Cool, this time it knows to add the adjective. There it is. Let's style this a little bit so that it looks like we cared. Yeah, is there 4? Okay, and then here, we'll try adding a next player here. So we have a current player. And maybe we can compute our way to a next player. I'm curious to see if AI helps here. It doesn't. So let me see if I can add a comment. Okay, so let's try and do that. So I got round 1, turn 1. And here I can just have a class with justify between so that I have these on different levels. And here, what was it in the next up, colon. So next up. How did it know to do the strong business? So next up is Awesome Mary. Current player is Awesome Adan. And once I lock in that answer, if it's correct, we don't need to change the state. All of a sudden, I kind of want to go into a game where there's 3 players. Mary and winner. Start the game. Start the round. Lock in my answer. It's 19. When I click incorrect, it should know who the current player is. And the mutation should in the back end set that player to inactive, right? So player here will need an ID. And again, I know, this should all be refactored. I'm passing in the current player's ID. And here, whoops, here actually, I will want a player ID. And do that, and then set player to inactive. I mean, this is not necessary, right? I believe Sequelize has an update, all kind of business. And now when I enter the next round, having answered incorrectly here, I should not be in the next round. Incorrect. So let's fix this out of the running. When I refresh this won't work because the current player would have changed. So there, I mean, inherently sort of creating a bug here. So what would help is if the player and turns were associated. So when I create the turn, I should have the player with it. And I will actually do that now. Although ideally I would have ended the stream. I kind of wanted to just do an hour and a half and get most of this done, but I went through that rabbit hole. So when I create this, when I start the round, I want, when I create turn, I want the player to be associated with the turn. Yeah, I mean, the other part I didn't think about is, once you answer correct or incorrect, because I just said current player is the first active and so on. The truth is that that's not the case. The truth is that it's not the first active player. It's, I guess I have to somewhat keep track of who the current player is or who the next player. The current player is not the first active player. I know that. It's I'm going to have to keep track of which player is next. I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't think I could do that in 5 minutes. But let me maybe give it some thought on what that should be. So I have 3 players. I create a game. When I click start round, I will be creating a turn, right? Start round creates a turn. And that turn should be for the current player. Now, because here current player is the first active player because the round hasn't started. But once we're in the round, once we're in the turns, that's when current player is dependent on the ordering. So this is not necessarily current player per se. This is actually first player. And I think I can pass in the player ID here. at the very least kind of start the basis for getting an ID in with the turn. What am I doing here? Create turn. Finding the last turn. Adding one. Well, I mean, I guess theoretically, the server can handle this as well because, okay, let me just leave that there for now. But the server can handle this, I think, because the server can just grab the game and based on the turn's player ID, find the next active player. I like that better. I can still leave that as first player. And then what does it now like here now? Okay. Here, when I create a turn, let's first of all go ahead and add player ID. Here, oops, player ID here. And then here is where I will delete the database. And look at that. We did think about it. So I want a player ID. So I'm just checking my messages to see if there's any issues. And I have to go pick up someone soon. So, you know, I am uncomfortable checking messages while on, it's like bad TV time. You think, you know, I'm just on my phone, but okay. It's life. All right, where were we? I've added the player ID to the database and we'll have to clean it up. But here I want to grab the next available, like the next active player in the game. So I will need to get the game as well. And that's the first thing I can do. Right. And then now presumably I have game.players. And I can say, find the next player ID. Okay. And so const next player is this will give us No, this is not what we want. And player.number and player.id is not equal to no. Certainly player.id is greater than last turn or 0. And this ideally gives us our next player. And hopefully next player is never null. And if it is, I think we should throw an error, and we should not have this kind of a problem. And now we have a player associated with a turn. And I guess that did take just about 5 minutes, but does it work? Will it blend? Let's find out. Remove development, migrate to rebuild, and then remember to restart my server. And now the turn will have the player ID. So now the current player is just the player ID of the turn. And so now when I do current player, I have get game, get turn, good, 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 good. And then current player is not find active because it doesn't matter whether they're active or not, because we might refresh on an incorrect and I still want the correct information to show. So the p.id is equal to turn value player ID. And this is still true. And I'm using number here, and I use ID in the other one. I probably should just be using number everywhere, but again. This is happening because there's no database anymore. Start round. Lock and answer. I do find this confusing now because my eyes went up there. And maybe there should have just been a list of players, but not a big deal. We can figure that out. It's incorrect is out of the running. Let's fix out of the running. This is where we were a few minutes ago. Current player adjective. This should just probably be like a function, but okay, fine. Weird. Okay, so none is out of the running. And now on a refresh, it just works, right? It's not looking for, and the next player here, because let's just double check here on create turn. Round number. So yeah, I mean, this is fine because we don't, even let's say if you come back here and all of this would still be correct. Unless you came back here after the round was finished. So all those details are later. Awesome, Mary. Let's say it's correct. And then next up, uncomfortable Al. So uncomfortable Al. And this can actually be, let me just double check. Yeah, that should be next player. Awesome, winner is next. Mary got this correct. Okay, so it was Mary that got this correct, and next up is awesome winner. And I want awesome winner to be correct. And everybody has gone here which is why next up is empty. So I think here it should just be finish round. If next, if there's no next player, right? If there is a next player, I should see the button, but otherwise it's this. And maybe there could be some other messaging to indicate that the round is done. And we can VF that as well. I don't know that I need all that. Thank you. Okay. So now, you know, I think I should do a div v, oops, v else, and I know it's a long message, but it's kind of clear now that there are no more players. And now I'm on round 2 and bring up the first player. At this point, the first player should have in the database been, oh, this is nice. Look at the lighting that changes. What's happened? My light is off. And I never noticed that my backlight was not on. I'm not sure if that happened at some certain point, but that's fine. Well, you look at that. Okay. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to start the stream now. Okay. It seems like no first player was found, and that seems like a bug because there should be plenty of players. Code. Sure, why not? And I actually want not first player necessarily, but all players, or maybe actually just the game itself. Just give me the game. Inactive. Did I mark them just all as inactive, regardless if they're right or wrong? So that's the bug. That's good to know. And here, state inactive. And here I need to check to see whether it is correct or incorrect. So it's a good bug to have, fairly straightforward. If answer state is incorrect, I want to do this. Otherwise, we're good. And now I can give that a quick run. Get rid of my pre. Check my messages. And right, first player, first name. The reason is they were all inactive, and that really shouldn't happen. And if it does, we'll find out later. And let's start round 1. Let's incorrect myself. We still have uncomfortable now. And here I want next player. Should be Awesome Mary. Lock in the answer, it's correct. Next up, winner, lock in the answer, it's correct. And that should be the end of the round. The reason why I didn't have any players and all that business. So all the like round finish thing was good, but that wasn't really the indication of whether the round was finished. So I'm on the turn. I'll give myself 5 more minutes. I'm on the turn, so I'm on the question page right here. And next up is next player. Let's fix next player. And here I had said, like, find me the first one where the number is not. But I mean, and number is possibly undefined. So I'm going to say or 10,000 here, and not 0 because I don't want the first one. And here I have a clear indication that no one's left in this round, but does it work naturally? Oops. Again, winner. Okay, it's me. I get it wrong. Mary gets it right, and the winner gets it right. And there are no players left in this round, and I can finish the round. And now the first player is also Mary, because it's not me anymore, even though I'm first on the list. Start round 2 with Awesome Mary. Lock in the answer. She gets it wrong. Now there's only one player remaining. They need to get it right to win. And now there's only one player left. But I don't know how the dynamics of a B is. Like, if all the players in the previous round get it wrong, then does the round continue? And I guess that's where we'll start next time. Next random time you join us for Product Like It's Friday, even though it may or may not be Friday. But I think I wanted to get a bit more done. But I got into that trap of using the has many thing, which turned out okay. I think I got a little bit more familiar with Sequelize's setup. I'm not happy with with kind of the create player loop, right? I mean, what I want here is I don't want to create player loop. I want to bulk create, so I don't know how to do that. But more importantly, I just want to pass the players in here, which I feel like I should be able to do, and using TypeScript should not be a blocker towards that. But maybe I can just figure that out on my own time sometime. But that's just the thing that I'm unhappy with. But here we go. I went half an hour more than I wanted to, and got done less than I wanted to. But I think we also discovered a few other things of like, oh, the round is ending here, no players need to be shown, and all that logic was done, even if it's a bit loopy still. And then we figure out next time if everyone in the round gets it wrong, I need to keep track, and I don't have a track per round of correctness and incorrectness yet. So that needs to be done, because it feels like all those players should be active again and be present in the next round until there is a winner. And then, so we'll fix that, and then we'll go into the end game and the screen of players and how they did, and then later on we'll add the timer. And that's all for today. Thank you for